Fired for poor credit. That is the subject line that somebody sent me just this morning. And in addition with sending me that, they sent me a video of somebody, his name's Dan. He runs a YouTube channel called I Allegedly. That is Dan right there. Now, in his video, it says, I got fired for bad credit. Now, they sent me this and they asked, is this legal? But they sent me this interesting story. And I want to read this to you because this is what we are now facing. Employers are now letting people go for poor credit, for working from home, not having a car, even lying on a job application 15 to 20 years ago. They're coming back and saying, sorry, we have to let you go because you falsified information. Yeah, they are looking for many ways to let people go. So today we're going to break down what some of those ways are. I want to read this email to you, explain what is going on and why you should be somewhat concerned moving forward. So I'll break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So what is interesting right now is that businesses are now starting to check your credit. And in certain states, they're allowed to do this, okay, as long as you meet the criteria. For instance, in the state of California, they can check your credit as long as you're applying for a management position or you are constantly around up to $10,000 in cash. So they are able to take your or check your credit. I remember years ago, I worked for a company that had to check my credit because I was selling financial services. Obviously, that makes sense. But if you are a store clerk, right, should they be checking your credit? Well, that's where things get interesting. Now, I want to read this email that I got because this is what we are now facing. And again, if you think this isn't happening, it is happening. Okay, this is happening all over the U.S. Listen to this. This person says, and I quote, I've been working for XXX company. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I've been working for this company for 4 years, and it wasn't until September 30th that they decided it was time to run a credit check. Lo and behold, I am now out of a job. I was told that due to the sensitive nature of the business, I had too much debt and could be a liability to the company. How is this even legal? And why wouldn't they have checked my credit before? I'm always at work and even got a car to get me back and forth on time. But now I'm constantly behind on my credit card payments. This is the only reason why I got fired. Because I bought a car to get me to work. How ironic, to say the least. So this person, and here's what I think is interesting. People do this all the time. This is nothing new. Many people get a job, then they go and get a car to get them back and forth from work, but yet sometimes just getting that car loan, now they got more debt, so now it hurts their credit score. But now if the company runs your credit, it looks bad because now you have all this debt. And then the company says, oh, sorry, we can't hire you. We can't allow you to work here because your credit is too low. You got poor credit. And some of this is just too much debt. Some is you're missing too many payments. Some your credit utilization rate is too high, right? All these things. And I remember back in 2009, I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and he was starting a sales job. And the first thing that they told him is you need to go and buy a couple suits. Okay, you need a couple suits, and then you obviously need, to have some shirts that you can change and ties and all that. And so he said, okay, he'll do that. Well, then he went out, he bought these suits, he couldn't afford them. So guess what? He used a credit card. He bought these, I think he bought 2 suits, I think he bought 4 or 5 different shirts, a handful of ties, and he was good to go, or he thought. The problem was the first month came around and he didn't sell much, or if anything. He couldn't afford to pay the credit card. Okay, the credit card, and again, this is the financial crisis at this point. Right? This is the Great Depression that we are seeing, or this is happening in. And so the credit card company is calling him. You need to make a payment. You need to make a payment. You have to make a payment. He couldn't make the payment. Okay, so he couldn't make the payment the first month. The second month, same thing. He's in a sales job, but they required him to go and buy new suits, so he did that. Putting on credit cards. Now he can't afford the credit cards. Now he's not making sales, and the whole thing spirals out of control. He ended up losing his job. He ended up with a closet full of nice clothes that he didn't need anymore, because then he had to go and work construction, and his whole kind of next few years just unraveled and fell apart. That was the beginning of tough times for him. But again, I bring this up because this is kind of what we're seeing now. But this is the interesting part. Companies are looking for ways to let people go. They're not checking your credit so that they can tell you ways to improve your credit, to bring down your interest rates on your credit cards and your home loans and your car loans. No, they're not doing you a financial service. They're trying to find ways to let people go, right? Trying to find legal ways to let people go. Just off the hook. Don't need you anymore. That's what they're trying to do. Now I want to read you this one as well. This person writes, and I quote, "I've worked for many companies in my lifetime, but it wasn't until now that I was floored by what I have seen. I'm the manager at blank company, and I was ordered to find people who have lied on their resumes or falsified information to get the job." This is what this person is being tasked to do. Find people who have lied on their resumes and falsified information, which is the only reason why they were hired. So again, they could have been hired 10, 15 years ago. Doesn't matter. If the employer finds a reason to let you go, like you falsified your education, right? Your date of birth. They thought you were younger than you actually are, right? Falsified anything, they can let you go. This person goes on to say, "So I now have to check credit reports, get birth certificates to verify ages, get diplomas and transcripts from colleges to prove that employees actually attended, and even tax records to prove dependents claimed. I don't want to do this, but my boss said that I must comply or I will lose my job as well." So essentially, and the way this person words it is, I must comply or I will lose my job as well. So essentially, this person's boss is already anticipating employees are going to be losing their jobs because they falsified information or lied on their resume for whatever reason. But again, I bring this to your attention because this is what we're seeing. I remember, was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year where we were talking about, ways that employers are looking to let go of their employees. We talked about people returning to work. This is something that we've seen over the past handful of months. More and more bigger employers are asking people to return to the office, and those that don't, they're let go. They're fired. I also talked about this last year where so many people left the states and larger cities and moved out to cheaper places. Well, one company, I don't remember who it was, but this is like a year ago, it was required that you had to live within that state. If you lived in a different state, then you cannot be employed by that company. So one of the things that they did, and it was more of a fishing expedition, but they went out and they talked to people and pretty much got them to admit where they live. And if they didn't live within that specific state, they were let go. Now, exactly what they did to trick the people into telling them where they lived, I don't know. But again, this was something that happened. We've also seen before where certain companies pretty much just allow people to come in whenever they want to, but they have to work a set amount of hours. If they didn't work 8 hours per day, then, and if this happened multiple times where they clocked out like at 7 hours and 48 minutes or 7 hours and 52 minutes, whatever it may be, then they would be let go after a certain amount of time. Well, we've seen reports on this over the past couple months, is that more and more employers are starting to do that as well, that people are not working their full shift. As a result, they're gone. So I just wanted to share this with you because I think this is interesting, that employees are now being fired due to poor credit, but some people's credit is only poor because they are driving to work. They're paying for a highly expensive car that they don't need, right? That shouldn't be that expensive, but it is because of inflation, because of people working. Again, it's a very interesting time that we're in, but I wanted to share this with you because this person thought this is potentially illegal, but it's not. This is something that companies are able to do. Now, if you want more information on this, want some more stories on this, go and watch Dan from I Allegedly. Again, he has some good videos. Go and subscribe. Yeah, he has some good videos. Go and watch, because again, some of the stuff that he says is interesting. It's eye-opening. Go and if you like my videos, first off, thank you for watching, but you're gonna like his as well. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.